Today we are on vacation in beautiful Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And in all this sea and sand that I'm walking through, I start thinking about balls. Big, slappable balls. What were you thinking about? Since we're right by the nets, I figured we'd talk about a video game that's volleyball based. So today we're going to be talking about Beach Spikers, which came out for the Nintendo Gamecube and arcades. But we're going to be focusing on the Nintendo Gamecube version. So, does Sega have what it takes to be king of the nets? Let's find out. Shortly after the demise of the Dreamcast in 2001, Sega began shifting their attention elsewhere. They started to focus more on their arcade hardware that was still utilizing Naomi, all the way up to the late 2000s. In addition to becoming a third party and publishing games on Nintendo systems, it was the end of the original console wars between Nintendo and Sega, and the beginning of a new era. Today's gamers probably wouldn't bat an eye hearing about Nintendo and Sega working together, but back in the day, it was mind-boggling. Enter Sega AM2, or more formally, Sega Amusement Machine Research and Development 2. This was a team that worked independently within Sega, and is now the oldest development team in the company. Heck, they even beat out Sonic Team. A large batch of games began making their way from the Dreamcast to the Microsoft Xbox, Sony PlayStation 2, and the Nintendo Gamecube. But there was one that specifically came from arcades, courtesy of Sega AM2, and that was Beach Spikers. Released initially in Japan arcades in 2001 and then ported in 2002 exclusively for the Nintendo Gamecube, Beach Spikers is a sports volleyball game that takes the game of volleyball to a more accessible level. So, does the arcade style that works so well with games like Crazy Taxi, House of the Dead, and more accurately, Virtua Tennis have enough to offer the home market? Is this game enough to keep your feet in the sand and your hands on your balls? Look, there's going to be a lot of ball references, and I'm not sorry. After starting up the game, we are greeted by the oddly unfamiliar Sega chime, which, for the record, still weirds me out to hear on Nintendo hardware. Next, we're greeted by the announcer whose voice is trying to be sexy but can't pull it off.
Sega AM2.
It's like Antonio Banderas and the Dos Equis beer guy had a baby, and yep, there's your announcer guy. Before the title screen arrives, we're given a short video showcasing some of the very worldly teams that Beach Spikers has to offer. Aside from the standard options menu, Beach Spikers offers a few different play modes to work with. There's the arcade mode, world tour, versus mode, and a tutorial. More on each of these in a bit. The game does offer an option between arcade playstyle and original playstyle, which is surprisingly an important distinction. Arcade allows for each team to match strengths. Serving the ball doesn't rely on pressing other buttons, and you apparently won't make serving mistakes. However, original mode puts all teams into different strength brackets such as SS, S, A, and B. I wanted a more arcade-like feel similar to Virtua Tennis or Sega's arcade experience, so I went with that mode. The rules in the main volleyball game are pretty simple. Each player gets the opportunity at one point or another to serve the ball to the opponent. Most matches require players to pop the ball into the air to gain control, then setting it up to be spiked. If the ball lands in the opponent's empty space inside the lines, you get a point. In Beach Spikers, players win depending on whoever scores 15 points with at least a 2-point advantage. If each team has 14 points, then the game will either end at the 20-point mark, or when a single team wins with the 2 points ahead of the other team. Volleyball. What I feel elevates this game above other volleyball gems like Outlaw Volleyball, Super Spike V-Ball, and Super Dodgeball is the lighthearted pick-up-and-play vibe. Now those other games kind of have it, but if you've never played any of the Virtua Sports series games before, just know that the frame rate is rock solid, and the controls have a quick and easy level of skill to learn. That doesn't necessarily take major dedication to master. This is probably best showcased in the arcade playthrough. During arcade, in order to keep the game moving, each team starts out by default with 10 points. This allows for quick matches and to keep the gameplay at a breakneck pace. Arcade mode features a tournament complete with brackets for each team. Also, keep in mind that Beach Spikers allows for up to 2 players per team on all modes of play except for World Cup mode, with up to 4 human players at a time. By taking full advantage of the Gamecube's multiplayer functionality, players can mix and match teams or join up together to take down computer opponents depending on how many friends are playing with you. Grab 4 Wavebird controllers and some friends, your favorite Seagram's wine coolers, and a pair of neon shades, and you're in for some fun in the sun. But hold up, the game isn't exactly perfect when it comes to the World Cup mode. Probably the most frustrating to play of all the modes, World Cup feels like a step backwards for this game. See, this mode has you essentially babysitting an AI player after your team is created. The issue I personally have with World Cup mode involves your AI teammate. She will consistently flub her serves, not react when the ball is hit to her, and even refuses to set up your player so the shot can be more powerful. Oh sure, that makes sense. While you can always come back to playing later thanks to a continue functionality, you'll often wonder why you would bother other than to unlock all the levels here so they can be used in the rest of the game. The thing is, World Cup mode hosts a ton of unlockables. For example, beating arcade mode nets you a specific set of unlockables, and beating World Cup mode does the same, but for different items. After entering in a name and password, you'll be allowed to change clothing, faces, eyes, and hair. Heck, there's even a ton of Sega content unlockable depending on the password and username that you use to log in. These can easily be found anywhere on the internet and will expand your options beyond the defaults or even the in-game regular unlockables. Is that Ooh La La from Space Channel 5? What?
Court change. Please select the action to give to your partner.
In my opinion, the reward of unlocking everything just isn't worth it to me because getting through World Cup mode is too much of a hassle. The targeting is off when it comes to who gets to be chosen to respond to serves. Normally, an orange circle will appear under your character signifying that player to respond, but in this mode, the circle sometimes appears to be gray. You're free to move, but it feels like the ball isn't locking on to anyone, so you will just end up losing that point to your opponents. Occasionally, you'll go to your respective corners to lick your wounds clean. Normally, this is where the girls will chat for a bit privately and take a breather, but in World Cup mode, you're given the option to either praise, encourage, or reprimand your computer ally. This results in some disastrous moments which can affect the team performance meter either positively, neutrally, or negatively. The thing is, there's no logic or reasoning behind gaining or losing team points here. I try to cheer when we're winning. Correction, I'm carrying the team. We go down points? But I reprimand when we're doing bad and somehow I'm the bad guy? It's like the world's messiest relationship simulator combined with the saddest game of Guess My Feelings.
You lose! Sega Beach Volleyball Federation.
On top of the computer AI literally dropping the ball, playing World Cup is agonizing. The matches don't start at 10, so you have to play to 15 every single match. So you just lose until you can beef up experience points enough so that the computer won't get in your way so you can finally win a round. Each game nets your computer AI a different amount of points automatically. Obviously, the better you do, the more points you get, but it just feels like the game is rigged against you to begin with. The crazy thing is, playing arcade mode instead feels so much better than the two games. They almost feel like they were developed by the same team, but before and after an all-night booze rager. Party on, Sega. Speaking of partying, check out how the ladies of the game celebrate their wins. Whew. That is a lot of awkward hugging. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Every single team has warm, tender embraces that hang for way too long. I mean, look, it's fine if these women are an item, but is this an all-lesbians league? That seems entirely improbable.
Continue.
Versus mode is where it's at. Hook up with some friends and play till your balls deflate. Yeah, I'm not sorry. This is one of the highlights of the game due to the ability to play with friends or against computer players. And honestly, the computer players aren't bad in every mode aside from the World Cup mode. You know, the mode where you need the support the most. There's several different types of playstyles to choose from in Versus mode. There's the regular arcade-style Beach Bikers game, or you can play Beach Flags, which has the ladies running as fast as they can to dive for a flag at the end of the line. Beach Countdown is similar to Hot Potato. Each return, serve, or pop up in the air has a specific number assigned to it, and this number is deducted after each time the ball is hit in the air. If you hit the ball causing it to go to 0, or if the ball falls on your side, you lose. Lastly, we have Beach PK, and no, it has nothing to do with Nest from Earthbound. Choose a position for your team member to play, and then when the ball is served, try to land the ball into a designated square. If you win, you get a circle, and a loss is an X. Whoever gets the most circles out of a certain amount wins. It's kind of like volleyball's version of Home Run Derby. All three of the alternative options of play are really exciting and perfect for multiplayer experiences. There isn't much I wanted to talk about regarding training mode, as the in-game tutorial that you can go through sets up the basics pretty well. However, it does get a bit more in-depth regarding a better breakdown of the core components of gameplay: serving, receiving, tossing, attacking, and blocking, in addition to learning how to manipulate the ball depending on the tilt of the analog stick. It serves its purpose here and remains simple for all ages and all types of players. I like the way the visuals are presented in Beach Bikers, though I have to admit some of these girls look identical with just very slight alterations made to their faces, hair, and outfits. On top of unlockable outfits, the game features several unlockable courts that are mostly just a poor excuse for product placement. Beach Bikers runs at a higher than normal frame rate on the Gamecube that really makes the visuals stand out that much more. Though I'd honestly say that this is one of Sega AM2's trademarks regarding how their games flow. It's a shame we never got a sequel, as I'd love to play something like this with improved visuals. And there's nothing inherently wrong with the Beach Bikers soundtrack, but therein lies the problem. Most songs sink deep into the depths of the gameplay, becoming background fodder for most gamers. Though truth be told, many gamers won't find much to fall in love with here. Guitars and bass lines are middle-of-the-road punk rock with simple drum beats. It's serviceable, and there may be one or two tracks that really have something else to offer, but for the most part I was just content bobbing my head and listening while playing. I have a lot of fun with Beach Bikers, especially considering it's a sports game from a company better known for a certain blue hedgehog. But I'm thankful for teams like Sega AM2, who understand the benefit of trying new things within a company. While they may not always land to serve, especially considering how sloppy the instructions are in-game for World Cup mode, the arcade and Versus modes have me invested in playing for multiple sessions. With the inclusion of in-game unlockables and different mini-games in the Versus mode, I feel like Beach Bikers' low price point these days gives enough of a reason for me to recommend it to those who are interested. Just make sure to remember to skip World Cup mode and grab some balls. I mean pals. I mean huevos. I mean skin muffins. Oh, never mind. Just go buy the game already. Beach Bikers on the Nintendo GameCube has a lot to offer both volleyball game fans and sports fans in general. But even if you're not a sports guy, I think you'd really dig it. It's very arcadey and has a great hugging atmosphere? I don't know. But it's Sega, so you can't really go wrong. You know, being out in the sand and the sweet, salty air here in Myrtle Beach has really kind of reminded me of another fellow YouTuber, Retro Island Gaming. What's next? I'm gonna take a year to put out a top 5 video? Come on, Andrew. Come on.
Thank you to the following patrons. Your support means the world to me. Want more Dude You Haven't Played This Game? Make sure to stay subscribed to the channel and check out these videos enclosed below. As always, thanks for watching.